All right, hello everybody. This is Christian. So I'm going to show you how to install and the MySQL Server and Workbench and make connections to the database. So basically, to do this Unit 1A assignment for you. I noticed that a few of you still have questions and unable to move on past this assignment. So without this part, you cannot move on to Unit 1B. Okay, so here is the thing. First, we're going to go and download the MySQL Server. I know that my videos, all the videos are based on the Microsoft SQL Server only. And so while most of the commands are identical or similar in many ways, there are some differences between, SQL Server and the MySQL. So here is the version 9. 9 is the latest version. You can download to version 8. That's fine too, but let's stick with version 9, okay? Again, once you are here, click the installer. You can do the zip too, but we prefer the installer here. So download that server and just click this no thanks, just tell me download. You don't have to log in or sign up anything, okay? That's step 1. Let's move on to step 2. And well, actually, we just do this first. So I'm going to go ahead and click this and run the installer. So just follow this instructions here, accept the terms and agreement, and then go ahead. Let me turn this off so it's not too distracting. Okay, so go ahead and then click on the typical for your installation. We don't need to do any customization here at all. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, so click install, and that should take about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds when it start running that. We'll see. Shouldn't be long, okay? And I'm using a different account, so not the admin account. So it keeps popping, asking me to give permission. So that's what the sound is. Okay, so here we go. We're done. Now, the next thing you need to run is the configurator. You have to do that. So click check the box if it's not checked. Click finish, and it's going to launch that configurator page where you're going to go ahead and then add a password to the server, okay? Now, if you have used a previous version of MySQL, an older version or another instance of this, chances are you might have a little red exclamation mark right here to show that this port number has been used. For example, I have version 8 installed already, and I used a port number 3307. And so if I do this, for example, if I do that, and that's what's been used, if I go back again, I'm not sure if it, yeah. So if it does see a little red thing, doesn't mean it's been used. So for example, do that. So if this is the only server you have, you can accept this connection. You will need to put a password. If not, I recommend this only for upgrade. If you see this because you have an existing server already, if not, just ignore this part and click the second checkbox down here. Okay, so we're going to install this new version 9.1. So I'm installing a new fresh version. So click the second box, go next, and then this is where I want to show you earlier. So for example, if I put 307, okay, you see the little red exclamation mark. This means that the port number is being used by another server, so you cannot share the port number. Okay, so by default, MySQL will use port number 3306. If there's no red exclamation mark here, you're good to go, and this port will be used for this server. Just accept the default as is. Don't change anything unless you know what you're doing, and just click next. And then now you're required to give a password for the account called root. By default, all servers, MySQL Server uses the root account as the Subo global account. Okay, if you want to create a different account, you will have to go down here and add a new user, maybe for yourself or for somebody else to use this server. So we'll just use the root, which makes it easier. You are required to put a password. So here, just put something you remember. Again, for me, I just like to put the word admin, just easy to remember. Okay, it's going to say very weak, which is fine. Just go ahead with that. Click next. And then this is where you put the name for that instance. It's defaulted to MySQL 9.1, meaning the version 9.1. something, right? And you can rename this whatever you want, okay? It's just an instance that you will remember when you run the workbench. So you can keep it as a default, which I'm going to do, and then just click next, and then just accept the first one. This is grant full access to user running this. Go next, and then I highly recommend you install these two sample databases. Okay, it will populate that for you. You can use it for testing purposes and whatnot. And then here, just click execute to run all these commands to configure the database, basically. Like configure it, install the sample databases, it's going to start a server right away and apply the security issue stuff. So that should take very quickly. Okay, so here you go. I'm done. And then just click next. And then you are good to go. Once you get to the screen, you're done. Click finish. Okay, so now MySQL 9.1 has been installed. And just to make sure that it's actually running, you can go ahead and down here, search for services. If you're not already, I'll be searched that earlier. So here's services here. And it's going to launch a screen, will tell you the status of your server. So if you scroll down to the M for MySQL, you'll see that MySQL 91, this is the one. I had an older version, which is 8, is also running. Somehow here it doesn't show you the port number, but this one runs port 3307, and the default here is 3306. So make sure it's running. If it's not running, you want to double click on it and then click on start down here, okay? If it's stop, it will say stop. Okay, so that's running, so we're good here. I'm just gonna close this for now. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and install the workbench. So I can just go back here, or you can go back to the page here and click here, that's fine too, okay? So it's basically this page under the workbench right here. And we want the latest version, which is 8.0.4. So just click and install the installer, okay? There are two versions here, okay? So I think I tried it last time in the class. We don't want this version. It's going to go through like a more difficult process. Just click the one that the MSI installer, and then it's going to download just like before. All right, and then click it, install. And let me go ahead and collapse this. You can see it better. Just go next. And then next again, click the complete installation and then install. It should be very quickly. It's going to ask me for another login to allow the installation because I'm using as a guest account. Okay, so here we go. Shouldn't take long, another like 15, 20 seconds. Here we go, we're done. Go ahead and launch it now. And you're going to see this welcome screen here. You can see that I had this earlier, so you can see it's all here. But if you don't have it, you normally, the first time you run, you're going to see something like this. Okay, it's blank. There is no connections. You will see here, right here, this is called the home page. So the little home icon on the top left here, if you click on that icon, you're going to see this screen. Now, you can connect manual connections using the plus icon here, or if you see this screen, just click the rescan servers. And it will scan your machine to see how many servers you have. MySQL servers, okay? So I have two. As you can see, this is the 8.0 version, and this is the 91 version. And you can see both use different port numbers because you cannot use the same port if they're running, okay? If this is not running and only one is running, then yeah, they both can be 3306. But if you want to run them at the same time, make sure you're using different port number. Okay, so to connect to your database, just click the connect here. Okay, if I click on that, and it's going to launch it, it's going to ask for the password we signed up earlier. Again, mine is called admin. You can save it to the vault, so next time you don't have to type it. I'm just going to leave it out and click OK, and it should have this warning screen. Just ignore this and continue anyway. And here we go. So you are now presented with this screen. And on the top, we have a tab called Local Instance MySQL 91. This is the one connection to the server, okay? If you want to go back to the home page again, click the home icon, and you back it again. So if I want to connect to this server, I can do that too. Click on it. It's going to give you the same thing. My password is also the same. And then now I have two tabs on the right top. You can see this is my version 8, this is version 9. and so forth. You can have as many connections as you want, okay? But we're going to deal just version 9.1 for now. And they should look very similar because they're using the same MySQL Workbench tool. So let's focus on the 9.1 since we're using 9.1. Okay, so here, this on the left column, the navigator here, you have two tabs on the bottom. One is called the administration, and the other is called the schemas. If you don't see this tables here because you're probably in the wrong tab, so make sure you click the schemas to see the schemas, which is the objects in your database server. Okay, we have the secular and then the world databases we installed earlier during the installation process. That's what you see here. All right, otherwise you will not see this. You just see the sys database. The sys is installed by default. Do not try to delete this. I don't think they'll let you delete it because it's kind of grayed out. You need the systems as a model to run the server as well as to create databases based on a model. And it's based on what this system looks like, okay? So if you're on the administration here, just give you some links to information, the status of your server. You click it, you should show you here. And you can turn this off on the right side. I'm not sure what to, on the top right, collapse this. So you can see the server is running 91. You go back to the other one, same thing. It will tell you my server 8 and so forth, okay? So on the 91, we see that. And then just some information about that one here. To disconnect from this server, I was hoping to have a button to disconnect, but all you have to do is basically close the tabs like this. Okay, you're now disconnected. It takes you back to the home page. Okay, and let's say that you don't have this. You can turn all these off. Click on one of these, right click on it, delete all the connections. And if you don't see the scan, you can just right click on it and do a rescan. Okay. If you don't have the option, you can manually connect to one of them. If you know the port number, the name here, you can give it what you want. Just a name. I call it ABC, for example. And I'm using port 3306 for my MySQL 9. So if you click on that test connection, if it's successful, it will tell you. If it's not, it will also give you an error. So here we go. It's just connected. Warning. Go ahead anyway. And then we're good to go. And then now, okay, you see that now it's connected here. It has an ABC as opposed to MySQL 9, whatever it was before, right? So you see it's differently. But it doesn't matter. It's just a name that you can associate with. But the server is still for server 9. All right. So just not to confuse anybody, go back here and delete this and do a scan. Okay, and we're going to run version 9 so that it connects to the correct version. You can turn this, check this, don't show this again. Okay, so we're now good to go under the schema tab. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is download those files from the right space down here. Okay, this database setup here, download that. And expand this or open this up. Maybe I'll just put it to the desktop. You can see right here. Okay, drag it right there. And in here I have like 4 files, I think. Okay, so these 4 files, .sql file, we're going to run these inside the Workbench to install those databases so you can move forward. So here on the top left, click the second icon. This is Open SQL script file. Click on that, navigate to where your files are right here, and then click in this order the databases. You're going to see the commands right here. It's a big file. You can scroll all the way to the bottom. Just don't touch anything here. It's going to install all this data for you. Okay, click on the right lightning bolt, and it's going to install that for you very quickly. You'll see the status on the bottom here. If there's no error, if there are any error, you will see the red X on the bottom left. So far everything looks good. It's already actually done already. You can see the status here by clicking this little circle icon, and you should see the AP database being installed. Okay, so this one is done. You can close it and then do for the other 3. So go down here, install the AP again, click lightning bolt, hit done, go to the next one, the EX, and then one more for that OM. Okay, so now refresh it and everything is now here and good to go. Okay, so you can close these now and we'll use that simple query statement here. So if you don't see this page, just click on the first icon, which is the SQL. It'll open up this SQL command so you can type your commands here. Okay, so in order to use databases, if you are, if you have used like, the SQL Server command studio in the past, there's a drop down. You can select the database to use it, but here this Workbench doesn't have that option. So what you have to do is you have to make sure you select one of these databases. So for example, in the AP database, which is the one you'll be using for the assignment, you're going to make sure that you click on it. By opening this database, just clicking, you can navigate and look at content and whatnot, but you're not actually selecting this to use in the command over here. Okay, so to use it, you have to double click on this database, double click on it until it turns black and bold. What that does is now it will link this database to all your files here, whether you have one command SQL file or you have 100 of them, doesn't matter. Okay, so all your scripts here by default will work with this database called AP, and then all your tables are in here. So I have about, I don't know, 6 or 7 tables in here. So now let's go back here, and if you select something, select I should use the select all caps everything from the table called terms. Okay, you click that, click the lightning bolt, and now you see the result from there. Okay, if you happen to like, I don't know if we can uncheck this, but unselected is I'm not sure this one. But let's say you don't select it. Let's say if I go to the sys folder, right? If I select that instead, okay, it's bold or nothing's selected. To run this command, you're going to have an error saying, the schema doesn't exist down here at the bottom. Okay, it should be on the bottom of the screen down here. If I can move it up, okay, you see an error here. It says table sys terms doesn't exist because you are using the wrong database. Okay, that's one option. It's easier that way. Or you can use the command called use and then the name of the database called AP as your first statement, meaning that switch or use this database. And then from there, I'm actually pointing to this database. Doesn't matter if I check, I select which one of these, it doesn't matter. This command will overwrite that, okay? So now I go and clear all my commands down here, right click and then clear, okay? Click and then run the lightning bolt. You can see that it works fine. It will automatically select that for you already to use it. And you can switch, as you go, okay? Which means if I can collapse this. Okay, I can switch around if I know my commands, right? So if I can use that for the first database, my next command would be use, let's say use the EX table on the database and then select something from there. I don't know what type of table are there. Let me see, let's pick one. Let's say the projects, right? Select everything from projects. Again, database names are and table names are case insensitive. Doesn't matter you capitalize them or not. Even all these commands, it should be case insensitive. I'm sure there's a way you can make it so that it's case sensitive, but by default, it's case insensitive. It is an error here. That's because I did not terminate the statement with a semicolon. So it thinks that this is part of that command. So it's highly recommend that you either you use that use semicolon, okay? On the SQL Server side of things, it doesn't really matter. But here it kind of does. So make sure you terminate each statement with a semicolon. So I'm using 2 separate databases to run 2 separate statements on the same file. So if I execute those, going to have 2 different tabs, right? The first tab is the database called AP. And the second is the one that's coming from that EX down here, okay? So you can see that they work just fine. And whichever you use last will be highlighted on the left over here.